What if some of the most powerful medicines weren't found in pills or hospital pharmacies, but right in your kitchen? Around the world, millions rely on antibiotics, painkillers, and acid blockers every single day. And while these drugs save lives, their long-term risks are mounting. Resistance, dementia, cancers, and digestive breakdown. Yet at the same time, we've forgotten something essential, that plants, spices, and everyday foods have always been our first medicines. For thousands of years, before pharmacies and prescriptions, people turned to garlic, ginger, rosemary, and hundreds of other plants. They prevented illness, treated infections, and restored balance in the body. And modern science is beginning to confirm much of that ancient wisdom. The surprising truth is this: many plant remedies don't take months to work. They can have measurable effects within minutes or hours. In this conversation, we'll uncover 10 powerful lessons from the world of natural medicine, each one backed by science, yet rooted in human tradition. Lessons that can protect your gut, support your heart, sharpen your brain, and reduce pain, often with simple tools you already have at home. If you've ever wondered what lies beyond the pill bottle, this is where the journey begins. Why we lost our connection to plants. For most of human history, medicine meant plants. In villages and rural communities, every household knew how to use herbs to soothe fevers, dress wounds, or ease childbirth. Knowledge was passed from grandmother to daughter, neighbor to neighbor. But as cities grew and industrialization advanced, that wisdom was gradually replaced by manufactured pills. New diseases spread in crowded conditions, and stronger mineral-based medicines were developed to fight them. These worked quickly and powerfully, but in the process, gentler plant-based remedies were labeled old-fashioned. By the 20th century, the pharmaceutical industry had transformed powders into pills and pills into profits. People came to believe that medicine had to be industrial, branded, and dispensed in pharmacies. A sore throat was no longer soothed with honey and sage tea, but treated with antibiotics. Digestive troubles, once eased with bitters or fennel, were suppressed with acid blockers. The shift was cultural as much as medical. Plants were rebranded as folk remedies, something quaint but outdated. Yet in much of the world, this never happened. In France, most pharmacies still stock herbal preparations alongside prescription drugs. In Germany, doctors must pass exams in herbal medicine. Across Asia, plant medicine is integrated into healthcare without debate. Only in the UK, the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand did the cultural divide grow so wide that plants were dismissed in favor of pills. Understanding this history helps us see why we lost touch and why it's worth reclaiming. Antibiotics and the hidden threat. Antibiotics are one of modern medicine's greatest achievements. They turned deadly infections into treatable conditions and saved countless lives. But their overuse has created a global crisis. In the U.S. alone, more than 230 million prescriptions are written each year, and research suggests that nearly a third of these are unnecessary. The result? Dangerous bacteria are learning to resist. Already, the World Health Organization warns that antibiotic resistance is one of the greatest health threats of our time, responsible for over 1 million deaths annually and contributing to millions more. Beyond resistance, antibiotics have another hidden cost. They devastate the gut microbiome. These trillions of bacteria aren't just passengers. They help digest food, train the immune system, and even influence mood and brain health. When antibiotics sweep through, they kill good bacteria along with bad, leaving behind imbalances linked to inflammatory bowel disease, colorectal cancer, and slower recovery from illness. In short, every unnecessary course of antibiotics weakens the foundation of long-term health. And here's the crucial point: antibiotics do nothing for viral infections like colds and flu. Yet many people still demand them, and many doctors still prescribe them under pressure. The better solution is to turn to safe, natural supports. For example, ginger and cinnamon tea, a simple combination, can warm the body, open circulation, loosen mucus, and relieve the early stages of a cold. Grate a thumb-sized piece of fresh ginger, add a teaspoon of cinnamon, pour over boiling water, and let it steep. Within minutes, you'll feel warmth spread through your chest and airways. This doesn't kill the virus, but it helps your body fight it effectively without damaging the microbiome or fueling resistance. hot and cold remedies. For centuries, healers divided remedies into two simple categories, warming and cooling. Warming remedies like ginger, cinnamon, chili, or cardamom stimulate blood flow, raise body temperature, and ease stagnation in the tissues. They are especially useful for conditions that feel better with heat, stiff joints, menstrual cramps, or colds with chills. Cooling remedies such as peppermint, wormwood, dandelion, or unsweetened black coffee calm fevers, soothe digestive irritation, and reduce overactive heat in the body. While this language may sound old-fashioned, modern science translates it as differences in circulation, metabolism, and nervous system activity. The beauty of this framework is its simplicity. You don't need a medical degree to test what works for you. If your headache improves with a hot compress, you may respond well to warming remedies like ginger tea. If an ice pack feels better, you may benefit from cooling herbs like mint. This approach turns medicine into a dialogue with the body, not a battle against it. Plants provide options, and your own sensations guide the choice. This also explains why cultures develop different spice traditions. In hot climates, people favored cooling remedies, peppermint, bitter greens, or fermented drinks to manage fevers and aid digestion. In colder regions, warming spices like ginger and mustard were prized for their ability to push blood to the surface and keep the body resilient through winter. Today, these categories still offer a useful compass. When in doubt, notice what your body craves, warmth or coolness, and let that guide your remedy. The microbiome, food as medicine. Inside every person lives an invisible ecosystem, the microbiome. These trillions of bacteria, fungi, and other microbes outnumber our own cells and carry far more genetic material. Far from being freeloaders, they perform essential tasks, digesting fiber, producing vitamins, training the immune system, and even sending signals to the brain. In many ways, we are walking ecosystems. Our health depends not only on our own cells, but on the thriving diversity of microbes inside us. When nourished with the right foods, the microbiome turns plant compounds into powerful medicines. Polyphenols, the colorful pigments in fruits and vegetables, are broken down into metabolites that reduce inflammation, improve blood vessel health, and protect the brain. Without a healthy microbiome, these benefits are weakened. That's why diets rich in fiber, root vegetables, legumes, and fermented foods are essential. They don't just feed us, they feed our microscopic partners who in turn create the compounds that protect us. Modern research emphasizes the importance of diversity. Aiming for 30 different plants each week is not a gimmick. It reflects the need to supply the microbiome with varied fibers and polyphenols. Every color on the plate tells a story. Red tomatoes rich in lycopene, purple grapes full of anthocyanins, leafy greens loaded with chlorophyll and minerals. Together they support immunity, circulation, and brain health. The simple advice, eat the rainbow, is not poetry. It's microbiology in action. Modern diets and hormonal health diet shapes far more than weight. It influences hormones, fertility, and even the regularity of menstrual cycles. The keto diet, with very low carbohydrates, has grown popular for sharpening focus and stabilizing blood sugar. For many, it improves insulin sensitivity, reversing early signs of diabetes. Women with polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, a condition linked to insulin resistance, often find that a low-sugar diet restores regular cycles and improves fertility. What seems like a dietary trend can in fact be a powerful hormonal therapy. But no diet is perfect. Long-term keto can strain the liver and kidneys if protein and fats come mostly from animal sources. Without enough fiber, the microbiome may also weaken, leading to new imbalances. The lesson here is balance. Reducing sugar and refined carbs brings major benefits, but plants, especially vegetables and legumes, must remain central. What works for one person may not be right for another. Listening to the body and adjusting over time is more valuable than rigid rules. Plant remedies also play a role in reproductive health. Traditional women's herbs from North America and Asia contain natural compounds that gently influence hormone balance. Some were even warned against in folk tradition because they could bring on pregnancy if taken at the wrong time. Modern science is beginning to confirm that many of these plants contain compounds that interact with hormone receptors, stabilizing cycles and easing symptoms of PMS or PCOS. In this way, diet and herbs together create a toolkit for hormonal resilience, something no single pill can achieve. Immunity and infections. The immune system is not a single organ. It is a network spread throughout the body with strongholds in the gut, the throat, the lymph nodes, and the skin. Plants have always been allies in strengthening these defenses. Echinacea root, for example, creates a distinct tingling on the tongue when taken as a tincture. That sensation is not just odd, it signals stimulation of frontline white blood cells stationed in the throat and tonsils. These first responders are critical in fighting respiratory infections, which is why Echinacea remains one of the most trusted herbs for colds and flu. Resins like frankincense and myrrh were valued as highly as gold in ancient times for a reason. They coat and protect mucous membranes, reduce bacterial load, and ease inflammation. When applied to the mouth or throat, they create a protective layer that calms irritation and activates immune cells. Science now confirms what tradition long observed. Resins strengthen the barriers where infections first strike. This is frontline medicine, simple, direct, and effective. Garlic, sometimes called Russian penicillin, brings another dimension. Taken raw, it not only acts as an antimicrobial, but also as a prebiotic, feeding beneficial gut bacteria. Some practitioners even recommend a short-term garlic intensive, swallowing chopped cloves throughout a day or two to reset the microbiome and suppress low-level infections. It may not make you popular at parties, but for the lungs and digestive tract, garlic can be transformative. Together, these plants remind us that immunity is not boosted by one pill, but supported daily through natural allies. Inflammation and pain. Inflammation often gets a bad reputation, but it is one of the body's most powerful healing tools. When tissues are injured or stressed, the body floods them with immune cells, nutrients, and fluids. This swelling and heat are signs of repair in progress. Suppressing inflammation too quickly with drugs, like ibuprofen, may relieve pain, but it also cuts short the healing process. Acute inflammation is usually the body doing exactly what it should, clearing out damaged cells and restoring balance. The real problem is chronic inflammation when the defense system stays switched on long after the original trigger has passed. This can result from poor diet, stress, or a damaged gut microbiome. Over time, chronic inflammation underlies conditions from arthritis to cardiovascular disease. Here, plants can help in two ways: by addressing the root causes in the gut and by providing external relief. Mustard poultices, cayenne pepper plasters, or warm herbal baths stimulate circulation, bringing fresh blood to joints and easing stiffness without blocking natural defenses. Sometimes the answer is not a plant, but movement. Dance, stretching, and gentle exercise release tension and restore circulation to stiff tissues. Pain is often a signal of stagnation, a place where blood and energy are stuck. By combining plant remedies with movement, we respect the body's defenses rather than fighting them. In this view, inflammation is not the enemy, but the body's call for support. Plants, warmth, and movement provide that support, reducing pain while still allowing true healing to take place. Heart vessels and brain cardiovascular disease remains the leading cause of death worldwide, and dementia continues to rise. At first glance, these may seem like separate conditions, but they share a common root: poor vascular health and chronic inflammation. Supporting circulation is therefore one of the most powerful things we can do for long-term health. Plants like hawthorn leaf and flower have been used for centuries as heart tonics, improving blood flow and reducing pressure on the vessels. Science now recognizes hawthorn's ability to stabilize heart rhythm and ease symptoms of mild heart failure. Spices offer another layer of support. Ginger, cinnamon, and turmeric all improve vessel function and modulate inflammation. Turmeric is particularly fascinating. Its active compound, curcumin, is poorly absorbed into the blood, yet still exerts major effects. The secret lies in the microbiome. Bacteria in the gut break down turmeric into metabolites that travel through the body, calming inflammation and protecting tissues. In this way, turmeric is a perfect example of how plant medicine and gut health work hand in hand. For the brain, circulation matters just as much. Green tea polyphenols protect the blood-brain barrier. Rosemary aromas enhance memory through direct action on the olfactory nerves, and ginkgo improves blood flow to tiny vessels. Dark chocolate, at least 75% cocoa, can boost brain and heart blood flow within an hour, providing both immediate and long-term benefits. Together, these plants show that heart and brain health are not separate, but connected through the vascular system. Protect the vessels, and you protect both memory and longevity. Cholesterol and the liver cholesterol has been painted as a villain for decades, but the truth is more complex. It is not only necessary for hormone production and cell membranes, it is also part of the body's energy system. The problem arises when cholesterol builds up in the wrong places, often due to inactivity, excess sugar, or poor liver function. Rather than seeing cholesterol as the disease itself, it is better understood as a warning sign. High levels often point to a liver under strain, a gut struggling with fat metabolism, or a diet out of balance. Statins are frequently prescribed to reduce cholesterol levels, and while they can lower numbers, their benefits are modest in the long run. Side effects, such as muscle pain or reduced energy, are well known. Instead of simply suppressing cholesterol, a more holistic approach is to support the liver, the organ that manages fat distribution. Plants like artichoke leaf and dandelion root help the liver flush cholesterol through bile, improving balance naturally. This approach not only lowers cholesterol, but also strengthens digestion and metabolic resilience. Diet plays a central role too. Simple meals of lentils, beans, and vegetables seasoned with spices are both inexpensive and protective. In Asia and the Mediterranean, such plant-rich meals remain staples, and cardiovascular disease rates are lower as a result. Healthy eating doesn't require expensive superfoods, just variety, fiber, and traditional cooking methods. The lesson is clear. Cholesterol isn't just something to fight, it's a signal to care for the liver and return to foods that support long-term balance. The hidden risks of acid blockers. Acid reflux is a common complaint, and proton pump inhibitors like omeprazole are among the most widely prescribed drugs for it. These medications work by shutting down acid production in the stomach. At first, symptoms ease, but stomach acid has important jobs. It sterilizes food, breaks down proteins, and protects against pathogens. When acid is suppressed long-term, food is less thoroughly digested and more likely to trigger immune reactions further down the gut. Over time, risks emerge, deficiencies, infections, even higher rates of cancers and dementia. Another problem with acid blockers is dependency. When people try to stop taking them, acid production rebounds, often worse than before. This creates a cycle where patients feel trapped, unable to stop without suffering severe symptoms. Doctors see this rebound effect regularly, and it makes long-term reliance on PPIs particularly concerning. What begins as a short-term solution can quietly turn into a lifelong prescription. Fortunately, alternatives exist. The raft principle uses plants rich in natural mucilage, like slippery elm, aloe vera, or even alginates from seaweed, to create a soothing layer over the stomach contents. Instead of shutting down acid, this layer prevents reflux into the esophagus. Remedies like these can be combined with dietary adjustments. Smaller meals, avoiding late-night eating, to reduce reflux without disabling the body's defenses. In many cases, patients who switch to this approach can gradually reduce and even eliminate acid blockers, regaining comfort without long-term harm. Conclusion: the story of plant medicine is not about rejecting modern drugs. Antibiotics, painkillers, and acid blockers all have their place and save lives every day. But when they are overused or relied upon as the only solution, they create new problems. Plants remind us that health is not built on quick fixes, but on daily practices, eating diverse foods, using herbs wisely, moving the body, and respecting natural defenses. What makes plants so powerful is their ability to work with the body rather than against it. Garlic supports the microbiome while fighting infection. Turmeric partners with gut bacteria to reduce inflammation. Green tea and rosemary improve circulation and brain health without side effects. Even chocolate, when dark and pure, can nourish the heart and mind. These are not exotic cures. They are everyday allies that bring balance back to our lives. Perhaps the deepest lesson is about connection. By reconnecting with plants, we reconnect with our own biology, with traditions passed down through generations, and with the natural world that sustains us. And by reconnecting with people, family, friends, community, we strengthen the resilience that medicine alone cannot provide. In uncertain times, this return to simplicity may be the most reliable protection we have. Health, after all, is not just survival. It is the freedom to live well, fully, and in harmony with what nature has always offered. And maybe the final takeaway is this: true health isn't about fighting against our bodies, but about working alongside them. Nature has equipped us with defenses, healing processes, and partnerships with the living world around us. When we honor that design through food, herbs, rest, and connection, we not only prevent disease, but also rediscover what it means to feel fully alive.